Alrighty then. This is all going to be in one take. My voice is still a bit raspy from being sick. Do not, do not, please do bear with me. This is going to be my personal Season 3 TOECAR fan vote predictions. The fan votes should be going live here any day now, and we should be getting the results here in, I would say, about 2 or 3 weeks. So, I'm going to throw my predictions out there. You might agree with them, you might not. So we're just going to get into this. If you do agree with them, that's great. If you don't, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. So it appears we have 10, sorry, nine votes. We got two commentator votes for each series, and then trash votes get three, with the winner of the trash series vote getting into the split cup series, and then two extra trash series votes that stay in the trash series. So we're going to start off with, I apologize. We're going to start off with who I think is going to get the trash series vote and is going to win the trash series vote in order to get themselves into the split cup series. And that man is going to be Mr. David Krappenschitz himself. Now, the reason I do think Krappenschitz has a good chance of getting into the Split Cup series and winning the fan vote is that he's going gung ho on, I guess you could say marketing, putting his name out there, trying to get the votes to stay in this series. He had a really just dismal year, one top five, one top 10, that one top five coming at Auto Club in the second race of the season, and just from there on, it was just a pain to get anything going for David Krappenschitz. I just realized that that's not how you spell Krappenschitz, but it's fine. Uh, I do think David Krappenschitz has a good. People might be saying, well, what about Gutterball? What about Clink Bottles? What about Dad Gum? All these guys could easily win the fan vote. I think that Krappenschitz is going to be the man to take down the fan vote and move himself into the Splint Cup series. Coming second in the Trash Series vote and staying in the Trash Series for the third season in a row is going to be the main man himself, David Gutterball, my personal driver. So you can't say this is rigged. You can't say I'm biased. I do think Gutterball will come second in the fan vote. And the reason I think Crap and Shits might just have the edge is because people might want to see someone different in there. Someone, you know, get just some different faces, And I think Gutterball, while he is one of the most popular drivers in the garage area and with the fans, I also think a lot of people are just gonna be like, hey, why do I have to vote for Gutterball? He's gonna get plenty of votes anyway, so what's the point? Gutterball did have two top 10 finishes this year, one of them coming at Talladega, where he actually managed to miss pretty much every wreck that entire race, including the big one that took out about 35 cars, and he was able to just drive on to an easy top 10. Won an Auto Club as well, where he came 10th, and he also came 11th at Clawhammer. But besides those three races, it was just another season to forget for Gutterball, which is sad because he genuinely is one of the nicest guys in the Trash series, in TOECAR in general. So it's just a shame he can't get it going, but I do think season three, third time is a charm. I think he can get it done. Going into my third Trash series vote, and this was a very hard for me. This was a very hard to think who is going to have the votes behind them to get that third spot. There were about 3 or 4 people that I wanted to put here, but I eventually landed on the man who came last out of all the full-time drivers last year, Sportender. Now, Sportender, he didn't have a single top 10 all year. He got beaten points by Claire Pressure. Um, Pretty much the Gutterball of last year, although he did have more points than Gutterball, so I'll give him that. Sportender just got the short end of the stick. A lot of the incidents that he was involved in were not his fault. So you really have to feel for the man. I mean, just going through his, like, if I can find them real quick, yeah, like his best race was Auto Club, where he only got 20 points, which I think is like a 30th or like a 25th place finish, which is not great. um, So Sportender really just did not have the best of years. There were some times where he was up front, where he had a chance of getting a good finish, but then just got taken out in the end. So really a shame for him. But I think people do love the underdog aspect of TOECAR and want to vote for just want to vote for the worst drivers because they're so easy to root for. The worst drivers are just so easy to root for. It's just like it, it's basically just rooting for David in a David and Goliath situation. You can't help but feel for the guy and hope that he wins. So that is who I think will win all these trash votes. I'm not going to say my honorable mentions yet because there's still commentator votes to get to, but we will get to those in a second. We're going to get to the trash series votes now. Trash series only gets 2 votes because they don't get one going down to the trash series. I also just I said trash 1,000 times. I meant split cup. Split cup gets 2 votes. So I really was not really spoiled for choice here. There were a lot of guys that I wanted in, but I think these are just going to be the obvious picks. Charles Chunkwagon, like he got the fan vote last year. I easily can see him getting it again. Just again, one of the nicest guys in the entire series. I can easily see him getting in the Splint Cup series again. Again, just like last year, he did not have that great of a year, only scoring one top five all year long. So he just did not have himself a great year at all. I do think that next year, once he gets into the trash series, or sorry, the Splint Cup series again, I do think he will compete. I think he will have his breakout year. Same with Gutterball and all those other guys. But Chunk, one of the most popular guys in the series, easy pick for the trash series for the Splint Cup series vote one. Number two was a bit harder to figure out. There were a lot of people I wanted to pick. Um, sorry, my voice keeps going. Been talking for too long. There were a couple of people I wanted to go for, but eventually landed on the Canadian himself, Conroy Rosario. I made a joke earlier in the year that Conroy Rosario was one of the most forgettable guys in the Splint Cup series, and whilst I do still believe he is a bit of a forgettable face in the Cup series, he, I think he is well poised to take that second Split Cup series vote because I've heard a lot of talk in the Discord of people wanting to vote Conroy back in. I am not personally voting Conroy Rosario back in. I know, hate me, shoot me, whatever. Um, but he was just consistent. Like it wasn't consistent enough to get back in the Split Cup series, but you can see he was consistently like he wasn't finishing all the way in the back. He was like just right there around mid pack, and I think that's why he's kind of forgettable in my opinion because he was never really up front all the time, but he was never like all the way in the back. So but he has a lot of fans. Most of the Canadians are gonna root for him because, as I do believe, he is one of the only Canadian drivers in the series. So I do think uh, he does have the Canadians backing him enough to where I do think he will get the second fan vote. Moving on to the Trash Series commentator votes. Now, I will say that there are 2 commentator trash votes. Now, I will say the people that I was going for in this, I was looking at either LW Wrong, Claire Pressure. We got Clink Bottles in there, Lawful Allen. I was looking at too. Who else do we have? Dad Gum. I was all looking at those guys for uh, a possible return to the trash series. But I eventually did land on 2, which unfortunately means we're gonna have to say goodbye to 2 of those to like 3 or 4 of those fantastic names I just mentioned, which is really sad. That's just what happens when you have plenty of likable guys in the series. Um, but without further ado, my first trash series commentator vote, Clink Bottles. I think you just can't get rid of Clink Bottles that easily. I don't think he's going to get the fan vote. I think he might just barely get edged out by Sportender. But I do think you gotta have Clink Bottles in the series. He's just such a character, such a just such a great guy. He you just gotta have him in the trash series. It would feel wrong not to have him in the trash series. It's just I can't even say anything else about him. You just can't not have him in the trash series. He had a sneaky good year too. He only just barely missed the cutoff for trash series return. He had a decent year. He scored 30 points at Auto Club, 36 at the third race of the season. He had a four race stretch where he was just insane. Besides the fourth race of the season where he finished second to last, but besides that, he had a four race stretch where he was just on it. He scored at least 30 points in all of those races. So, he has speed. He has speed. He just needs to get the finishes. So that's why I think Clink Bottles and, the commentators love Clink Bottles. I feel like whenever I listen to a race, I feel like they're always talking Clink Bottles and how he's such a good guy, and just a funny guy, just a really funny guy to be around. So, it was really hard to think of another. Like, it obviously wasn't hard to think of another one, but it was hard to get them down into, like, 1, There were, like, 4 or 5 different people that I wanted to pick for this, and I think that the second Trash Series commentator vote will be my teammate. Oh, I apologize. Dadgum. Dadgum just having the absolute worst luck in the entire Trash Series this year. He had a really good run at the third race of the season. That was his only good run the entire year. He did score 35 points in the eighth race of the season as well. Um, he just did not have a good year. The only people that he actually lost to in points was Spore Tender. He was the second worst out of all of the full time guys and only lost to Claire Pressure by 7 points. So he just did not have that great of a year. He did have one top five, he had two top tens, but when he had a bad run, it was awful. He had a couple flips this year. I know he had one at Pyongyang, he had one at Daytona at the first race of the season where he barrel rolled into turn four. So he was upside down a lot this year, and he just had a bad stretch of races where he could not get anything going. Uh, he's actually the furthest guy down to have two top tens in the season. He wasn't even close to the cut line. Same with Gutterball, both having two top tens in the season, but not being anywhere near the cut line. So I do think Dadgum will get the second trash vote. I think he's again just barely going to get edged out by Clink Bottles and Spore Tender, but I do think he will get that second trash commentator vote because the commentators do love him. I feel like they always feel bad for him when he does bad. He's just a good guy, one of the nicest guys I've ever personally met, and I do think he will be lucky enough to get that second trash series vote. Unfortunately, my honorable mentions go out to severe thunderstorm warning. Sir Blues hamstring could be a good shout. LW Wrong has a lot of fans. So does Asiago, the only uh, Asiago is actually going to be the only trash series season one driver that I have missing the commentator vote and the fan vote entirely. I think Clink will get back in. I think Gutterball will get back in, and I think that who was the other one? Well, Scubs already got back in because he actually did well this year. So I do think that Asiago will be the only one that doesn't make it, unfortunately, which is sad because I do like Asiago, but I just don't think he's going to have the votes to do it. Moving on to the Split Cup Series predictions, we are going to go straight in here with, I think, again, an obvious one. Sweet Baby Ray Cyrus. I think he has a good fan base backing him to the point where I think he will get enough sympathy from the commentators to make him want to come back. He's just a character. Again, he's a pretty big fan favorite. I just don't think his fans outweigh the Chunk Wagon fans and the Conrad Rosario fans. He could easily get second. in the split cup fan vote. I could easily see that, but I think Conroy might just edge him out. Sweet Baby Ray Cyrus, he had a bad year. He didn't get a single top 10 all year. The only person he beat in the points was Suez, who just had an awful year as well. So yeah, Baby Ray Cyrus, a year to forget. But I do think he will come back into the Split Cup series with the commentator vote. And the second one, there was not too many people to really choose from here. There's a lot of people going down to the trash series or just staying in Splint Cup altogether, to where it's very rare where Splint Cup drivers will just go from the Splint Cup to out of the series entirely. Um, but I could have picked anyone. I could have picked Willie Studs, Trista Catheter, who got a trash series win last year. Uh, I do think that I do think it'll be James Icup though. James Icup, who is Tristan's driver, if I'm not mistaken. It's either Tristan or Kyle's driver. Pretty sure it's Tristan, but I could be wrong. I'll have to fact check that after I'm done. But I do think James Icup. Uh, I mean, he's literally one of the drivers' driver. Like I could, or sorry, one of the commentators' drivers. So I think that right there is just gonna get him in right then and there. I could be wrong. Personally, I think Chris Catheter should get the commentary vote because it would be really sad if someone went from almost winning the championship last year to out of the season entirely in 2 years, or 2 seasons. I think that'd be pretty sad. Willie Studs is another good shout. He almost made the trash series cut line. He was so freaking close. He only missed out on it. He only lost to Babe Jude by 2 points. So yeah, he could have easily gotten into the. I think he could have easily gotten into the cup series, into the trash series. Unfortunately, I think he's going to miss out entirely, which really does suck. Uh, but it is what it is. But that is all my predictions. I cannot wait to see if these are right or not. They probably won't be because I have the worst luck in the world. So I highly doubt any of these will be right. But we will see. But I appreciate everyone sticking around. This has been a very long video for no reason at all. Shout out to Kamikaze Games, who does literally fucking an hour to an hour and a half predictions. Uh, I'm kind of turning into that right now. But yeah, that's about it. I will see you guys whenever the Trash Series and the Cup Series get their fan votes. See you later, guys.